Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful land of enchantment, which is also known as New Mexico. And today's date is Sunday, November 6th, 2016. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of foul play as usual, and of course the fear of the election still. Nothing really exciting. However, I just got to check out this tweet on November 6th. On this day, on November 6th, 1860, Abraham Lincoln, 51, wins the U.S. presidency. Within 45 days, South Carolina leaves the Union under protest. That's from Military History Now. So, very interesting times in that area with the war between the states. So they call it the war of Northern Aggression. Some people still call it the Civil War. However, based on what I read and studied, respectfully, I have to disagree. Even because the Confederate States of America was enacted and their Constitution was erected. So that legally they were considered a nation, a separate nation. So civil is within. Civil war is within the nation. There's a big difference. So I guess it's a lot more complex than what it is. Everyone talk about the Rothschilds were involved and so forth. And Lincoln, he was a federal interventionist. Like one of his heroes is considered William Taft. Just to give you a heads up on that. So, like I said, it's a lot bigger than they want us to know. And what I said before, whoever wins writes the history books. Always think about that. And even though people say, oh, the Civil War is over, this and that, go, you gotta study this. Because it's a lot bigger than they want us to know, including all wars. And everyone should look at all sides and why this occurred. All right, well, enough of that. First thing I'm gonna be talking about is Comey, yeah, and the Hillary Clinton prosecution won't be prosecuted. It says here, above the law, FBI head James Comey declares Hillary Clinton will not be prosecuted. Let's see what Natural News have to say about this. And it came by J.D. Hayes, as it reads here. In an announcement in recent days that he was reporting the email probe into Hillary Clinton based on 650,000 new emails, FBI Chief James Comey announced just hours ago that once more he will not recommend any charges against the most investigated presidential nominee in history, U.S. history. So 650,000 emails. Bing! The magic lamp theory, correct? As reported by the Daily Mail and several other news agencies, Comey said in a letter to Congress that FBI agents worked round the clock to review the massive amounts of emails that were discovered about a month ago on a computer used jointly by disgraced former Representative Anthony Weiner and his estranged wife, Huma Abedin, Clinton's closest aide. Weiner is being investigated by the FBI and the NYPD for allegedly sexting a 15-year-old girl. Since my letter, the FBI investigative team has been working around the clock to process a review of a large volume of emails from the device obtained in connection with an unrelated criminal investigation, Comey wrote. He added that during the process, agents reviewed all communications from or to Clinton during the tenure as Secretary of State. Based on our review, we have not changed our conclusion that we expressed in July with respect to Secretary Clinton, he concluded. Voters will have the final say. The news was not well received by the campaign of GOP nominee Donald Trump. During the campaign appearance on the Marathon by Sunday, Trump said Clinton was being protected by a rigged political system. There is no question he is right. Earlier reports noted that scores of emails on the Aberdeen Weiner computer showed criminal activity by Hillary and Bill Clinton, as well as some congressional Democrats. The Clintons' activities were allegedly marked mostly by pay-for-play schemes, soliciting financial contributions from foreign governments in exchange for special access and favors from the Obama administration. In addition, the founder of private security firm Blackwater, Eric Prince, in an interview with Breitbart Daily News, ranking member and investigators of the NYPD have threatened to make the evidence that they too have discovered public if the Obama justice system and the FBI fail to pursue strong leads and make arrests. Apparently, Comey has decided that's not going to happen. It's not clear at this point where the investigation by the NYPD will go or whether the department will do as Prince says sources inside have told him it will do, or if Clinton just skates once again for what many believe is obviously criminality. Either way, Americans have an opportunity to hold her and Comey and Attorney General Loretta Lynch and Barack Obama accountable on election day by choosing one candidate, Donald Trump, who has pledged to drain the Washington, D.C. swamp. Well, so I know everyone's a little bit irate over it, even many of folks called Wienergate. And I'm not really too surprised. That's why I don't get my hopes too high. But, however, you got to really see things a lot bigger. And, of course, there are reports, even Next News Network, talking about some of the officers from the NYPD get threats to use reprisal against them if they release these with the Garner case. So they're going to try to stick their nose in, take it to a federal level, of course. So, but you know what? Even de Blasio, he's trying to stay out of it. We all know he's a New World Order stooge anyway, because he was pro Strong Cities Network, including Loretta Lynch. All right, just to give those two an example. And the fact is this, my friends, the voters will have the final say, which just let you know once again, your votes will go to the Electoral College. I know multiple states, like 16 states, the Electoral College have to honor your votes. So it's gonna be, like I said, it's a lot of controversies was going on, and there's even reports too I've read about Newsweek always had the Madam President magazine edition of Newsweek ready to go. You can look that up. It's very interesting, but I'm just wanting to have one for Trump as well. So like I said, you never know. Those bastards are desperate. They're trying to make money on this. And I know one thing. I think you probably put that in the, what do you call that? Closeouts. Okay. So let's see how far this goes. And of course, we'll go right here too, because even antiwar.com did the same thing. And the person who wrote this, Jason Ditz, says here no evidence of criminality in new Clinton emails throughout the waning weeks of the U.S. presidential campaign. The FBI is once again center stage, announcing that the new set of Hillary Clinton emails they came upon 2 weeks ago included no evidence of criminality and nothing that will make them alter in their initial conclusion. Coming just 2 days before the election, the latest announcement is only adding the allegations that the FBI tried to manipulate the vote, with an initial announcement of the emails being condemned by the Clinton campaign as proof the FBI was trying to get Trump elected. And Trump supporters attributing today's statement as a result of heavy political pressures from the administration. The FBI's very, very public, but ultimately not particularly fruitful statements are certainly insinuating them into the campaign, whether they want to be there or not, and seems efforts at damage control that follow are likewise so haphazard as to simply bolster the sense in both parties that there is something very wrong with the way the FBI is operating. The expectation that the latest FBI statement will help the Clinton campaign is already having an impact on the financial markets. with the Mexican peso jumping on the news and other foreign markets see as favoring the Clinton campaign, similarly on the rise overnight. Yes, because remember, Hillary Clinton sold her behind to the banksters. So you know how that goes. IMF, all that. They're just climaxing. Oh yeah, our little Jesse Billy and harlot Aunt Jemima is gonna be president. Just to be a little sarcastic, of course. And in addition, expect her to start wars with Russia and China because, of course, I'm Hillary Clinton. I can do what I want. And she's like a horse voice too, you know. So I was like even listening to some David Icke on the whole presidential campaign, you know, with Hillary and Trump, Hillary and Donald Trump, and he has a good statement about the hidden hand. Others call the oligarchs. They can speak all they want, but will their actions speak louder than words when they get in? So you have to really look at that. And there's a lot of division too, even certain movements, including Black Lives Matter. Because I know I was watching some video reports too. Even folks of Black Lives members, representative activists from Black Lives Matter, has been saying hell no to Hillary because she uses the African American community. And like the organization or not, some of those folks that rank and file are right. If I'm not crazy about them, respectfully, okay? But if they're right, I'm going to support it. There's going to be days when a bunch of us and them and all of us may have to face a common enemy. We have to toss our differences aside because there's bigger fish to fry. So, but what's really a shame, which I'm not surprised because they want Queen Hillary. The world, Washington, D.C. revolves around her. So, hey, blowback is going to happen. I guarantee you that. Because it will pursue. It's just another chapter. All right? It's not done. Another chapter. And so I'm going to talk about the man who disrupted Trump rally in Nevada has a dead grandmother who is voting for on election day. This is by J.D. Hayes again from Natural News. Very interesting here. So let's read this. The Democratic Party has long since gone over to the dark side, politically speaking. There are no vestiges of your parents' and grandparents' Democratic Party, which once stood for the hard-working, ethical, and moral middle-class America. Today is nothing but a left criminal cabal that is more reminiscent of the kind of left-wing political apparatuses you see in the harsh dictatorship of banana republics everywhere, led by Barack Obama, Harry Reid, and Hillary Clinton. Today's Democratic Party operates like Hitler's thuggish brown shirts, doing anything and everything it can to steal the election. Case in point, the supposed Republican who can't vote for the party's nominee, Donald J. Trump, and who created a firestorm at the Trump campaign event in Nevada over the weekend, forcing Secret Service to rush Trump off stage. He was just an innocent American there to protest a candidate, right? Dead grandmother voting, hardly. As reported by Gateway Pundit, the protester, Austin Kreitz, very possibly harassed Trump at the previous rally. Once recently set up his Facebook page, carried a sign that degenerated Trump when he was surrounded, tackled by the crowd, then arrested at the rally he disrupted, incited violence and emotional abuse, is mentioned in WikiLeaks, is a supporter of Hillary Clinton. Interesting there. That's you can look that up too. There's links on here so you can check it out. But there's more. A tweet from the trademark Micro Turkey Leaks revealed that his address and his voting Democratic dead granny, and he's voting his CA's brother's name under a misspelling. In other words, more voter fraud that the Democratic Party insists does not exist. Obama inviting illegals to vote too, and yet is about to get worse, even as the part of the populace ignoring the politically compromised established media, which is nothing less than the Democratic Party's propaganda wing, continues to learn daily how widespread voter fraud is. Our current criminal president is telling illegal aliens that A, they should vote, and B, if they do, nothing's going to happen to them. Yeah, I've seen that too. Hey, that's what happens when you got bend over Bob's to New World Order speak. All right. As Natural News editor Mike Adams, the health ranger, noted over the weekend, the total lostness of Obama and the Democrats is on display yet again today as the President Obama is captured in a new video encouraging legal aliens to vote and promising nothing bad will happen to them if they do. And there's a video on here if you want to check it out, and I've seen it. So the exchange began with leftist pretend journalist Gina Rodriguez. Yeah. Many of the millennials, dreamers, and undocumented citizens. See, she likes to use undocumented citizens. This is how pathetic this woman is, all right? And I call them citizens because they contributed to the country, are fearful of voting. So if I vote, will immigration go where I live? Will they come for my family? Will they deport us? Or is Obama? Not true. And the reason is, first of all, when you vote, you are a citizen yourself, and there is not a situation where the voting rolls are somehow transferred over and people start investigating, etc. The sanctity of the vote is strictly confidential in terms of who you voted for. If you have a family member who is undocumented, then have a greater reason to vote. Bizarro world. Bizarro world. So remember, he's just a member. President Obama is just another Club of Rome asset. Okay, when I mean Club of Rome, they want 10 regions of the world, 10 regions. Instead of sovereign nation, they want 10 regions. He's an instigator on that. He's listening to he's listening and obeying the Bush crime family. Truth of the matter is, if you study, look what's going on in United European Union right now. That's the one charter. The North American Union, that's another one. Japan, Africa, it's just 10 regions. I can go on. You can trust me. You can look this up. You'd be intrigued. All right. Only the people can stop this madness. The clip was shown by Fox News business host Neil Cavuto, who was flabbergasted by what Obama was not merely suggesting, but stating outright. Then again, there is Rodriguez's asinine claim that just because someone runs, walks, crawls, or gets dragged into America and gets a job they're not supposed to have, that makes them contributors and hence citizens. It's funny about that because it reminds me when I study history, even the movie Gangs of New York, when the Irish are coming in, they had all the men lined up. Oh, you're a citizen. Congratulations. Sign this. You're a citizen. Then you have you join the Union Army. Very similar. Remember, Lincoln was a Republican. Okay, so if an American sneaks into Mexico and gets a job, does that make an American and Mexican citizen? Of course not. If Rodriguez's far left viewpoint was valid, it will be enshrined in U.S. law, but it isn't. Becoming an American citizen is a process. Simply occupying space on American soil is not enough. And in the end, the Democratic Party and its current standard bearer are to blame for all of this. If they weren't so enamored with power and so willing to the civil society to collapse and instead cared about the legal framework of the country they were elected to serve, this wouldn't be an issue. Obama has been able by his own party to violate the Constitution and the rule of law at will and literally do anything he wants if the goal is to keep the global elite establishment and his own party in power. He knows that the constitutional remedies Congress has its disposal to beat down a lawless president, legally speaking, are not going to be used because they would not be successful in stopping them. So if he stands before a young far-left Latina activist journalist and tells her no matter if someone in the country on election day is here illegally, they can vote in a U.S. election and not worried about federal officials coming to arrest them. Only the people can stop this madness. And like I said, there are people from those areas in those, Central South America, Mexico, okay, came here, earned their citizenship. How she wants to do it is here, hand it to me. And everyone else also like, give me respect, honor, respect, integrity. Hand it to me. No, you have to earn it. It's called merit. All right. That's how you have to examine this. And it was hilarious about the whole thing with Christ. It's like, wow. But and like I said, like last night, because I heard it from John Bannister and a few others, he never had a gun. So this, if you hear my past last episode, I talk about that. But Obama thinks the world. He thinks I'm above the law. I'm Barry Soetoro. Gina Rodriguez. You know what? You need a good smack upside the head by an honorable Hispanic woman that is an American citizen that earned her merits. You need a good smack upside the head, a good attitude, or in other words, an attitude adjustment. You have you're just another fool in my book. So you know what? Go go work at a Walmart for all I care. All right, this is just totally unacceptable. And you talk to a person that's not even a Trump um, endorser. Okay, I say that in good faith. But this is just insane. That's how Rome fell, my friends. All right, next one here came from Unicorn Riot. Came out a couple of days ago, or actually yesterday. It says here, DAPL construction near U.S. Army Corps land while still lacking permits. And this is at the Osada, Sadako, North Dakota. Construction of the North Dakota Access Pipeline within Morton County, North Dakota is almost complete. The pipeline has now repeatedly progressed to within half a mile of land owned by the U.S. Corps of Engineers, which would require permits that have not been issued. Currently, DFL equipment is visible from the main Oseta Sakowin camp. And of course, Unicorn Riot said here is supposed to heavily armed police and mercenaries light up the pipeline construction site and stand guard throughout the night. Outcome of tribal negotiations with the Army Corps of Engineers is uncertain. The various tribal leaders from Sioux Nation making up the Oseti uh, Sakowin Council have currently asked for a pause in direct actions from the camp while they attempt to conduct negotiations with the Army Corps of Engineers, as reported by Mother Jones, reporter Wes and Zena. Yeah, well, Mother Jones has its pros and cons. On Friday, November 4th, the tribal leaders and others present at a meeting recounted that Colonel John W. Henderson, the head of the Army Corps of Engineers in North Dakota, agreed that the Corps will ask Energy Transfer Partners to halt construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline for at least 30 days. Henderson said he would wait at least 30 days until granting such an easement. If the Corps' Washington, D.C. office grants the easement, Henderson reportedly said he would not sign it for 30 days. Spokesman for the Corps stand in ongoing deliberations with the Standing Rock Sioux, and that yesterday's meeting was part of an ongoing process. She said the Corps will make and will not make any decisions until the Department of Army completes its own review. Right now, she said a 30-day stay is only a proposal. It says West Ezina. Activists say Dakota pipeline could be put on hold for 30 days. The 30-day construction being referred to as only a proposal suggests that construction on the Dakota Access Pipeline will currently continue to take place. It is also unclear whether the federal government will order Energy Transfer Partners to cease DAPL construction work or merely make a request for construction to be voluntarily halted. The federal government has previously asked for a voluntary halt to all construction within a 20-mile area Lake OE, a request which the Army Corps has confirmed with disregarded by Energy Transfer Partners. Energy Transfer Partners also came under fire after documents revealed that they discovered sacred artifacts on the pipeline route on or about October 15th. Waited until October 25th to notify the proper historical preservation agencies. Drone release on November 2nd after the FAA lifted the temporary flight restriction over the area showed DLPL construction, including a military-style fortified compound taking place very close to the Lake Oath and the Missouri River. And I've seen that myself. So, and of course, treaty rights ignored by government legal jurisdiction becomes murky. The entire area of the city Cyclone Camp as adjacent lands claimed to be the Army Corps' property, and the Cannonball Ranch area where DAPL construction is currently underway are all democrated as territories of the Sioux Nation, according to the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1851. And there's a map of that. Okay, at this time, it seems that neither the Dakota Access, North Dakota, or the United States federal government are recognizing these areas as treaty lands. The current Osage Saquon camp and many nearby areas are considered by the U.S. government to be the property of the Army Corps of Engineers. The Osage Saquon camp has been essentially leased by the Army Corps to the people currently occupying it, but nearby areas claimed by the Army Corps have been occupied by police and Dakota Access mercenaries, despite it being federal land where they are thought to have no jurisdiction. On November 1st, World Protectors who were canoeing through Lake Oath on the Army Corps lands were threatened with arrest by armed men who appeared to be on the North Dakota National Guard. When asked by the Water Protectors, the armed men claimed they had permission from the Army Corps of Engineers to conduct arrests on Corps land. Well. And of course, there's a tweet on that and there's a video as well. And after seeing this report, Unicorn Riot reached out to both Army Corps of Engineers and the Department of Justice to confirm whether or not they had in fact authorized local enforcement to make arrests on federal land. Neither have responded to a request for comment. The next day, while defending their use of force and chemical weapons against water protectors attempting to prey at a sacred site, the Morton County Sheriff's Department posted on Facebook that the Army Corps had asked them to act against water protectors on certain Corps-owned land. And as it reads here, it's from November 2nd, Morton County Sheriff's Department. Law enforcement is currently engaged in a standoff on the shoreline of the Cantapeta Creek north of the main camp area. Protesters built a man-made wooden pedestrian bridge this morning, which was pulled apart by law enforcement. The U.S. Corps of Engineers has given Morton orders to remove the bridge and arrest any individuals who cross the river for criminal trespass. It is the east of the backwater bridge north of the main camp area. The Corps engineer also issued a letter requesting law enforcement assistance that seemed to contain the same points referenced by the Morton County Sheriff. The letter contains a map indicating the areas in which Morton County is permitted to operate, while indicating that assistance is not requested in areas not marked as such. And there is, the map of the dam and all that. So the narrative presented by the Morton County Sheriff paints a picture of the Army Corps reaching out to Morton County and asking him to initiate a presence in the area near the Osage Saquon camp, which includes many sacred sites. However, when approached outside this office by a group of water protectors, Colonel Henderson, head Army Corps official in the Omaha district, which contains the area in question, said he sent the letter requesting assistance from Morton County at a request of Morton County. Unicorn Riot has been unable to speak with anyone from the U.S. Corps of Engineers despite repeated attempts. TYT Politics reporter, the Young Turk as they call him, Jordan Charlton was able to conduct a phone interview. Army Corps spokesman Gene Pawlik seemed to display a lack of basic knowledge regarding the treaty issues at stake in the ongoing land disputes surrounding DAPL construction and Corps property. Cheriton in terms of what constitutes Army Corps property, cause I'm told by many people this is Native Americans' land, but them I'm told it's Army Corps land. Can you break that down for me? Is Native American land by the 1851 Treaty of Fort Laramie, or is it not a Native American land? I honestly don't know enough about the treaty to know about the Pacific history. I know that it's currently classified as Army Corps federal property. I'm not qualified to speak on the treaty piece of it. Yeah, so it goes on and on and on. Yeah, it goes pretty long here, but I'll continue on. What the hell? Very, I would say mind-boggled, right? When asked if the Army Corps was monitoring pipeline construction to prevent Energy Transfer Partners from doing DAPL construction work on Corps property without the proper permits, Pollock answered, "We don't have people who are standing out there on a permanent basis to watch." On November 3rd, Chairman Harold Fraser of Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe issued a public letter calling for the Army Corps of Engineers to fire Colonel Henderson. This letter was a response to a racist, insulting comments Fraser said Henderson made it during the conversation the two had about Morton County Sheriff using violence and chemical weapons against water protectors on Army Corps' land. According to Indian Country Media Today Network, it says here Henderson went to repeat numerous unfounded allegations made by Morton County, North Dakota Sheriff Kyle Kirschmeyer, among a range of other alleged crimes he believed were committed by individual Indians or people Colonel Henderson may suspect are Indians. Fraser wrote, including the almost constant accusations of violence being committed by water protectors, almost none of which the sheriff has been substantiated with evidence, with witness statements or arrests. Colonel Henderson particularly focused on Kirschmeyer's claim that his unidentified Indian has stolen or mutilated a rancher's buffalo, perhaps having it shot it with an arrow. Fraser said his jurisdictional question had yet to be answered. What is specious and unproven allegation had to do with my jurisdictional question, the unexplained conclusion between the North Dakota law enforcement and the Corps, or the ongoing violation of human rights Corps lands today. I cannot tell you, but the racist overtones of his allegations were not lost on me. Teresa Brainy, Cheyenne River Sioux Chair, calls for resignation of U.S. Army Corps Henderson. The Ossetti Skowhegan Camp and surrounding areas continue to remain under heavy surveillance from law enforcement and DAPL security. One plane of unknown ownership has been flying over the camp at night with its lights off, creating safety concerns for campers. And there's a surveillance plane. You can look that up. So they got a lot of good links here, so check it out. Clergy arrive at Standing Rock in solidarity on the morning of Thursday, November 3rd. Hundreds of clergy arrive at Standing Rock, march to the Bridge Highway at 1806, the site previous standoff to hold a prayer circle. Yeah, so and of course you can see that. And of course, day of the day, a group of clergy and world protectors converge at the North Dakota state capitol in Bismarck. Despite the peaceful nature of the gathering, the Capitol grounds were placed on security lockdown after individuals demanded to present a letter expressing support for the Standing Rock Sioux tribe to Governor Jack Dalrymple. 14 clergy were arrested after singing and praying inside the state capitol building. 3 were arrested while protesting on the lawn of Governor Delapley's mansion. There's a video for that. And in a press conference held on Friday the next day, a representative of North Dakota Highway Patrol called the arrest very childish and a disgrace for refusing to stand while being arrested. According to the Red Owl Legal Collective, the main body coordinating legal assistance for water protectors arrested during the no DAPL direct actions. Those arrested at the state capitol were separated into groups, and some of them were transported to a different jail in a different county, hours away, in what appears to be an arbitrary and malicious act meant to punish protest activity. And it says here, rather than bring all the arrestees to a holding facility in Bismarck, law enforcement separated the group by gender, then drove all the women to Fargo, North Dakota, more than 4 hours drive away. RLLC has found no evidence that this decision was made because of lack of space. The separation is part of a larger pattern of separating arrestees on seemingly arbitrary basis. RLLC reports that the arrestees have been sent to 6 different facilities all over the state so far. It's from the Red Owl Collective National Lawyers Guild. On Thursday in Austin, Texas, people confronted Energy Transfer Partners CEO Kelsey Warren at a meeting of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Commission. Warren was appointed a member of this commission after donating $500,000 to Governor Greg Abbott's campaign. Interesting on that. Warren said he would schedule a meeting with the community groups to discuss their concerns. A statement met with skepticism by those present at the meeting. Legal file continues. Charges dropped. Legal files continues. Charges dropped against water protectors. In recent days, have seen several new developments in the complex legal situation surrounding resistance to the Dakota Access Pipeline. On Thursday, November 4th, Sacred Stone Camp announced that 2 different water protectors had all their charges dropped. Last month, Spirit Rider Mason Red Wing was charged with felony reckless endangerment of law enforcement and a felony count of terrorizing law enforcement after he allegedly rode his horse towards a police line on Tuesday. Judge Romanek found no probable cause, dismissed all charges against Red Wing. Similarly, Winecoian Loud Hawk, a South Dakota native, was arrested on charges of reckless endangerment, criminal trespass, disorderly conduct, and obstruction of government function. The charges were dropped after Judge Romanek once again found no probable cause, as from the Sacred Stone Camp. It's like I said, if you're going to arrest these individuals, you better have merit, okay? And they don't. It's just throw them in there like bunch of dogs that they are. And I love dogs, don't get me wrong. I have one myself. Water protector Red Fawn Fallis is currently still held in Morton County Jail on charges of attempted murder after law enforcement allegedly she fired a handgun at officers while she was in the process of being arrested during a raid on the Osage-Saquon frontline camp on Thursday, October 27. Many inconsistencies have been pointed out in the Morton County Sheriff's narrative regarding the allegations against Red Fawn Fallis, such as Sheriff Kyle Kirschmeyer announced that no shots were fired on that day of the raid, and later claiming the Fallis fired 3 shots at officers. On Friday, the American Civil Liberties Union and Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights sent a letter to the U.S. Department of Justice calling for an investigation of violation of constitutional rights in the police response to peaceful protesters demonstrating against Dakota Access Pipeline. In the statement released by the Red Owl Legal Collective on Thursday, they described civil rights and privacy violations committed by police during the recent actions against water protectors. The statement describes protectors and journalists having their cars impounded and searched without warrant, The media equipment disappearing and escalating charges being filed against those trying to support water protectors. And I've seen that in the videos of arresting journalists and all that. They should just be saying, "I love Benito." They should have a T-shirt that goes, "I bend over for Benito Mussolini." Okay, so just to make that statement, RLLC attorney Angela Bybens described the conditions of vehicles that had been returned after being seized by North Dakota Armed Forces during last week's raid. Most vehicles had been totally ransacked. We saw items removed from cars with no explanation, medicines emptied and scattered around, property destroyed, damage to steering columns, and evidence attempting to open locked luggage. Angela Bybens, RLC attorney. "I'm just doing my job. You don't understand. I'm just doing my job." The legal collective also described how sacred objects taken during the raid on the Oseti Skowin North Camp were apparently desecrated before being returned. A dumpster load of seized property was recovered at a Bureau of Indian Affairs checkpoint on the highway about 2 miles from the camp. When protectors returned for their things, they found the sacred item after sacred item being had been defaced, with apparently intentionality. One item, a bull skull, has its horn snaps cleaned off. RLC statement. The report goes on to recount how one man was arrested for trying to deliver supplies to the Oseti Sakowin camp. On November 2nd, a protector was pulled over, arrested, and he was told he was being held for conspiracy charges. He was later charged with impeding government function. It sounds like something that happened with the Marlow 7. Impeding government function. A charge Biden finds disturbing given what the protectors was doing at this time of his arrest, driving a U-Haul full of donated kayaks to the camp, RLLC's statement. On Friday night, a vigil was held outside the Morton County Correctional Center to pray for people who have experienced abuse at the hands of North Dakota law enforcement. Yeah, and of course, you see the person at the vigil is Christopher Franco had this on Facebook. You know what? I just go, hey, no victim, no crime. Resistance camp population continues to grow. Despite temporary pause in direct actions, the population at the Oseti Skowin resistance camp has seen as a marked increase in the last few days, with existing subcamps welcoming new people and new camps being established. Friday night at Red Warrior Camp, after an influx of newcomers, the ceremony was held to raise the indigenous warrior flag, a symbol of unity between warrior societies from different tribal nations. You can see that too. And during the day on Saturday, more groups continue to arrive to join the camp, and that's from Unicorn Riot. So, hey, I'll say this, man. Keep up the good work. Hey, even support Unicorn Riot too for putting this information out. It's fantastic. This is why I tell everyone independent reporting is fantastic. The lamestream media don't want to do it. We got the technology, make it happen. And so, hey man, tyranny is everywhere. This is just another example. And all those people still say to me, "Oh, you don't trust the government? You're not an American." You know what? I say, you stick it up your rectum because government means control of the mind, chump. And look what happened to these brothers and sisters out there who are being harassed. Unacceptable. Name of the fascistic way. Doesn't it really gets my goat? You know, and I'm real touching these areas. But whatever, man, just keep up the fight. I know Food Not Bombs did a donation drive for them at a show. Hopefully that worked out really good. And I'm expecting more events happening around the country. If you see an event, go there and fight for the cause. If you can't make it, fight for the cause in other ways, okay? All right, next one here. This is happening. This occurred in Malaysia. The Guardian, Oliver Holmes says here, Malaysia protesters seek to shut news portal accused of trying to unseat scandal hit PM or Prime Minister. Oh, little scratch on my head here. Says, as it reads, hundreds of pro-government protesters in Malaysia have demanded the closure of independent news portal Malaysia Kini, rallying against what they say was a foreign-backed attempt to usurp Prime Minister Najib Razak. Dressed in the red shirts, the demonstrators can now close down Malaysia Kini outside the company's office in Petaling Jaya, near Kuala Lumpur on Saturday in a largely peaceful gathering lasted several hours. Police prevented the group of about 500 people from entering Malaysia Kini, an organization that has reported extensively on a corruption scandal that has engulfed Najib. The long read how a jail former banker and a lone British journalist broke a story that shook the world. Amnesty International said the calls to close Malaysia Kini were the latest instance of the right of freedom of expression coming under the attack in the country. Jamal Yuno, a member of the Prime Minister's ruling United Malays National Organization Party, led the rally and vowed to tear down the offices. But after several hours in the streets, the protesters left. Demonstration was organized after documents leaked last month by a whistleblower at DC Leaks suggested Malaysia Kini had received funds from Open Society Foundation set up by Hungarian-American billionaire George Soros. Ooh, interesting. Look at that. Allegedly he likes to stick his nose where it don't belong, all right? Yeah. Soros is regarded with deep suspicion in Malaysia following accusations had deepened the devastating 1997-98 Asian financial crisis by selling Malaysia Rignet short. And Jamal said the OSF money was directed at influencing the next general election. Our demonstration today is very important for Malaysians so that we don't allow Malaysia Kini to be an agent for foreign powers, he added. OSF said it was a nonpartisan and proud to have supported civil society in Malaysia during the past decade. While it denied accusations, it was supporting the attempt to overthrow Najib. It said in a statement its grants were to support justice, accountability, and democratic practice around the world. Malaysia Kini editor-in-chief Stephen Gan has said his portal had received a grant from OSF, but it was very small. Yeah, man. One world order. Let's contaminate Malaysia, right? The bulk Malaysia Kini's share owned by Gan and his co-founder Paramesh Chardin, he said 12% are owned by Malaysia Kini staff, he added. And so I'll continue on here. In a dispensable summary of the media industry headline in your inbox before 9 a.m., we digged out the most important stories from every and any newspaper, broadcaster, and website. When it comes to the outsiders or even Malaysia Kini shareholders influencing our editorial policy, that's completely impossible, Gan said at a media conference. Even I would it finds it very hard to control the editorial policy of Malaysia Kini. The leaks of Malaysia Kini's biggest civil society group, Berzai, which seeks to reform the electoral system in Malaysia, has also received money from the foundation. Good grief, look at this crap, huh? It's interesting stuff here, folks, right? OSF said over 2011, 2012, it provided small grants to Berzai, a coalition of about 80 non-governmental organizations tackling corruption. Berzai, whose members were yellow, whose members were yellow, have planned a rally for November 19th that will again call for Najib to step down over the graft allegations. The pro-Najib red shirt movement also has plans to rally that day, leading concerns about potential clashes. Hey, expect that. The Najib scandal emerged in July 2015 when media reports said investigators have found that nearly $700 million, or they call 450 million pounds, from the One Malaysia Development Berhad state funds was transferred into the Prime Minister's bank account. So there's a link on it. You can see it for yourselves. The administration's supporters have cracked down on the media and civil society groups attempting to silence criticism of Najib's alleged involvement. Najib, who founded 1MDB, has strongly denied any wrongdoing. In July, U.S. prosecutors filed civil lawsuits alleging that 1MDB had been defrauded of more than $3.5 billion. Najib was not mentioned as involved. How that happens? He sent these guys foreign aid? Good grief. Although protest leader Jamal is a prominent member of UMNO, there is no indication the government organized the attempt to close Malaysia Guinea. Malaysia Guinea editor Gan said Jamal had the right to hold a peaceful assembly, but he added, let them have their say, but they should also respect the rights of others to speak their minds too. Last month, the New York-based advocacy group Human Rights Watch released a report saying the government actions have signaled an ever broadening crackdown on freedom of expression assembly in the country. A 40-page report titled A Deep Culture of Fear of Criminalization of Peaceful Expression in Malaysia documented the government's recent use vaguely worded laws to criminalize peaceful speech and assembly. As Prime Minister Najib's political fortunes fall, Malaysians' intolerance to critical speech seems to rise, says Phil Robertson, Deputy Asia Director at Human Rights Watch. Malaysia's future as a right of respecting nations should become hostage to defending the Najib government's reputation. So this is interesting too about this. Maybe, yeah, Najib, there's a lot of controversy with him, but when you have the Open Society Foundation, it's like a cloak and dagger thing. Okay, the battle of the tyrants? You know what I'm saying? It's one thing you got to look at. The people, I guess, the people in that country, they got to make their own decisions. I'm not having. I should have read the Constitution and all that, but that's maybe another time. I'm expecting some clashes in this upcoming rally because it's been happening worldwide. It's just another example. Because I remember I addressed that happens going on in Florence, Italy, South Korea, now here. Well, well, well. Well, the folks there do what's right. Hey, if the Prime Minister Najib Razak is corrupt and there's merit, take him down and tell George Soros to butt out. All right. This came out today, 31 years ago, from the Business Insiders, but done by Christopher Woody. And it says here, the Palace of Justice siege, 31 years since rebels unleashed Colombia's Holocaust. And it's like I said, on Wednesday, November 6, 1985, members of the Colombian guerrilla group M19 on the April 19th movement. That coincidence? April 19th movement stormed Colombia's Palace of Justice. Are held all 25 countries Supreme Court justices, and hundreds of other civilian hostages on April 19th. On that day. Like I said, coincidence here. The M19 rebels were reportedly there with the backing of the country's most powerful drug lord, Pablo Escobar. Over the next 2 days, the Colombian army mounted an operation to retake the building and free the hostages. By the time the crisis was resolved, almost all of 30 to 40 rebels were dead. Scores of hostages have been killed or disappeared, and 11 of the 25 justices have been slain. Restore order, but above all avoid bloodshed. The M19 rebels, a left-wing group that later became a political party, took to court with the goal of forcing the justices to try then-President Belisario Bentancur and his defense minister for violating the peace deal the Colombian government had reached with the rebels a year and a half earlier. The M19 also opposed the government's move toward extraditing Colombians to the U.S. point on what the rebels and Colombia's powerful drug trafficker led by Pablo Escobar agreed, according to both Mark Bowden's killing Pablo and Escobar's son. The Medellin drug boss made M19 $1 million for the job. During a radio broadcast from inside the courthouse after the rebels seized the building, an M19 member said that their aim was to denounce a government that has betrayed by the Colombian people. In the initial response of the Backnor was restore order above all, avoid bloodshed. But after that, he reportedly encouraged the army to do its dirty work in the name of preserving legality and refused to end the siege. He also refused to take phone calls from the president of the Supreme Court, Justice Alfonso Ruiz, who is being held hostage, or order a ceasefire to permit negotiations. Not long ago, after the rebels seized the five-story building, government forces used explosives and automatic weapons to retake some of the lower floors. In the process, they reportedly rescued about 100 of the hostages. Colombian security forces also launched more attacks on rebels, eventually using tanks to assault the building. On Wednesday night, a fire broke out and destroyed many of the documents the court was using to decide whether to extradite drug traffickers. Records for about 6,000 criminal cases were destroyed, including files for the criminal case against cartel boss Pablo Escobar, according to Bowden. In 1989, a judge ruled that the fire had been intentionally set. Witnesses say the security forces lit the blaze, while some have suggested the rebel set fire at the behest of the drug traffickers who wanted to destroy evidence against them. By the afternoon of November 7th, the siege was over and reporters were allowed to enter the building. Freed hostages said that rebels had decided to kill their prisoners, including Supreme Court justices, that morning when they felt their situation was hopeless. At the time, news reports quoted Colonel Alfonso Plazas, who commanded government troops during the assault, as saying the rebels had been annihilated. But testimonies and rulings that have been issued in the decades since depict an army that was indiscriminated in its efforts to end, which has been called Colombia's Holocaust. The basic truth has not been provided. The attack had immediately political consequences for Colombia. According to Bowden's account, the siege crippled the Colombian legal system and sank President Bacar's efforts to reach peace agreements with both M19 and FARC rebels. M19 disarmed and became a political party. In 1989, a deal between the current Colombian government and the FARC rebels is in limbo after being voted down in a national plebiscite this year. I remember reading about that a while back. So, in the 3 decades since Palace siege, numerous reports and allegations have implicated government officials and security forces and human rights abuses related to the attack. Mounting evidence suggests that civilians were taken into custody and tortured by government forces after the attack. A report composed after the attack contained photos that suggested some hostages were killed by someone other than the rebels. In June 2010, Colonel Plazas, who led the army's assault, was convicted of the forced disappearance of 11 people who survived the attack on the building but were taken away by the army afterward and never seen again. A U.S. Embassy cable from 1999 that was released by George Washington University's National Security Archive corroborated the findings against Colonel Plazas, saying that Colonel Plazas' soldiers killed a number of M19 members and suspected collaborators hors des combat or outside of combat, including Palace's cafeteria staff. Allegations of this rights abuse and extrajudicial killings have persisted in a 2010 session of the Inter-American Court of Human Rights. IACHR President Jose de Jesus was unequivocal in his conviction that Colombian authorities had coordinated torture and forced disappearance during the Palace siege. In the same session, the Colombian government admitted that it deserves some blame for the deaths and disappearances, with a government representative saying that the Colombian state will not cease efforts to know the truth and create justice. Since that admission, investigations and accusations have continued. A lawyer working for many of the families of the disappeared said a 2013 Truth Commission showed that some in the military knew of M19's plot, but it let it happen, hoping to launch a ferocious response against the guerrillas. Humberto Marcia, a judge who witnessed the killing, some of his fellow justices said a day after the attack that authorities should have anticipated it. And I remembered a month before, the court chamber said, Marcia, I have read letters from the justice ministers and security forces in which they told us they had discovered a terrorist plan to assault the Justice Palace. In 2014, retired General Jesus Armando Arias was sentenced to 35 years in prison after being convicted for the forced disappearance of a judge. Several court workers and Irma Franco Pendea, an M19 guerrilla who has seen leaving the building alive. Convictions of Plaza and Arias are viewed as many of the Plaza steps after so many years of impunity for abuses committed during the siege and throughout recent Colombian history. Some, though, it hasn't been enough. The basic truth, which we have always longed for, has not been provided because there has not been a policy by the state to seek out the truth behind the events, says Jorge Franco Pineda, the brother of Irma Franco Pineda. In October 2015, Colombia's Attorney General announced an investigation into 14 members of the military and security services, including Ivan Ramirez Quintero, a senior intelligence official at the time of the attack. The Attorney General said there was sufficient evidence to infer the participation and knowledge of senior military commanders in the torture carried out. The investigation announcement was followed the next month by an apology from Colombia President Juan Manuel Santos, who acknowledged to the families of the victims that the government had failed to protect their rights during the siege. Today, I recognize the responsibility of the Colombian state, and I ask forgiveness, Santos said at the time, saying out of the rebuilt palace justice in central Bogota. Here, that occurred a deplorable, absolutely condemnable action by the M19, but it must be recognized that there were failures in the conduct procedures of state agents, he added. That's a real horrific time, and could have been handled a little bit different. But hiding information from people representing the state, especially with their families, is completely unacceptable. And that's why I'm not really too keen. You know, you want to protect the folks, not just think of them as expendables. But it's a dangerous world out there, my friends. What happened in Colombia, I know people who fled out because of stuff like this. It's a real shame, man. I say, you know what, you got to start. And that's why it's just started to criminalize the drugs. Yeah, get these bastards where it hurts. Screw these political differences. People got to start talking to each other instead of slaying one another. Oh, sometimes government, like I said, government has its issues too, and Santos admitted that. Well, always remember those folks. That's why you live once, evaluate, always spread that love to others. Okay. Well, one more thing I'm going to read here. So as an analyst, an opinion from the Washington Times. And if I'm correct, who wrote this? They didn't say who on here. I'll find out. I think someone did here. I'm just going to be patient. Please. Wow, okay. Well, it's by the Washington Times. This one's entitled, what's it called? Come on. Loyalty Party Above Country. So you folks who are versed with Democrats, Republicans, and all that, etc., listen up. It reads here, George Washington was first in war, first in peace, and first heart in the hearts of his countrymen. A soldier remembered his uniquely inspiring to the men who went through the hell with him at Valley Forge. Washington is not particularly remembered as a political scientist, but early on he recognized what he yet may yet be the fatal flaw in the American political system. He recognized the blind partisanship born of the party system, and we see it worked large in the presidential election campaign coming to a mirthful end on Tuesday. He foresaw with remarkable clarity and prescience how organized factions could come together to obstruct the execution of laws enacted by Congress, and how this would effectively override the constitutional separation of powers of the executive, congressional, and judicial branches of government. He must have had a prophetic dream about the coming of someone named Hillary Clinton, when, late in life, he wrote that however political parties may now and then answer popular ends, they are likely in the course of time and things to become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves to reign of government, destroying afterwards the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. We rarely elect presidents now who can write with such insight, precision, and eloquence about what we are capable of doing and have done to ourselves. Washington, like others of the founding fathers, spoke with an appearance of mincing words, mincing, not thought manly. Washington understood, as many Americans do not, that political parties are organized as to promote graft, greed, and corruption, leading inexorably to putting party above country. I have to agree. I've seen this firsthand. Like, if you want to be a registered political party, your oath and pledge of allegiance goes to them, not to the country. How else to explain the Clintons, even an abridged catalog of Hillary's high crimes and misdemeanors would lead reasonable Democrats to see, as they are, petty thieves grown fast and sassy with corruption of the public trust. But voters with excessive loyalty to party granted both of them access to the means of exploiting the White House. Hillary Clinton's record as Secretary of State is more than enough to send her to prison, but the public, seduced by the rewards of partisan politics, is unable to see what George Washington said would happen to an unwary electorate. Hillary used her position at the State Department to sell favors, influence, and even the nation's resources and security secrets in a brazen pay-to-play scheme to enrich the Clinton family. Anyone who can read or watch a talking head on television knows by now the particulars, but millions have bought the notion that what difference at this point does it make? Hillary showed her character long ago, from stealing furniture and furnishing on her way out of the White House to trading access to defense secrets and even the nation's uranium reserves in return for millions of dollars in contributions to the Clinton Foundation. Bubba mostly left the heavy lifting to Hillary and concentrated on satisfying cheap lusts with the White House help. George Washington, like a modern prophet, was concerned the damage that loyalty to party above country would inflict in a time far beyond his own. To alternate domination of one political party over another, he said, should enable one party enjoying temporary control of the government to use that power to exact revenge on the other at the expense of the country. This tendency towards atrocities directed at the party out of power, he said, is itself a frightful despotism, but it leads at length to a more formal and permanent despotism. Americans must take Washington with them Tuesday to their voting places. Well, foresight. And individuals, a man like George Washington had it. He's seen the bigger picture. George Washington's farewell address is self-explanatory. This is why folks like ourselves, you vote for the person, not the party. Some folks don't like it. I don't give a damn. Because you got your crackpots on all areas in these institutions. Hillary Clinton is a fantastic example. It was funny because I remember I posted that one on Facebook about the leaks, and someone decided to send me a angry Trump statement about the fact-checking account, Clinton Foundation, all that. If you assume me I'm a Trump supporter, forget about it. You just hit a wall. Not saying he's a bad person, but I wasn't angry. I just started laughing. This is why you never trust the government, my friends. And that's why. And they even warned. And he even watched the Jets. He was warned about foreign influences, including John Jay in Federalist Papers 2-5. We gotta vote for the individuals, not who they represent. That is essential. People want efficiency. Hey, I remember when Donald Trump on his promise, one of his speeches, he wants a Republican Congress. What, make it efficient? No, gridlock is good. It shouldn't have things happen overnight. This is why you want to make things happen, make a difference. Yeah, voting's fine, but being proactive is than just voting is an obligation. Always plant an old seed, not an old or alien tree. And that's all I'm going to say. That is all for now, my friends. Thanks for listening. Plus, feel free to download this episode and many others on my archive and share it throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions or comments, or if you want to send me something pretty cool, something interesting, hey, even the bands, please send me stuff. Like if you're an unsigned act, send me some of your music. I'll check it out. I may play on my show because I like to do that. All right? That'd be great. Thereafter, please send your correspondence with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, or Scene.life, which is SEEN.life. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3, which is LokiLuck and the number 3, all together, at gmail.com. I forgot. I knew I said LokiLuck3 at .com. My mistake. It's at gmail.com. The ones who know me will understand that. All right? Okay, cool. So I'm going to be playing another band here. Pandora Black once again. And this one's called Here Is Love. And even Angel or Deanna, I did send her a comment on her video on the last one, waiting for you, did on my podcast, and she goes, "Awesome, play it, keep on playing it." So she was very happy and pleased on that. So I'm gonna play this song just for her sending that comment for support. All right. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.
Come